okay, the world's catering to them. Okay, let's become women. So now the world's catering to men.
Well, no, for me,
it's a joke. No.
Listen, there's actually truth in that, because when you think about where the power is, it's automatically instilled within white men in this country.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you have to think about like who, even when it comes to that community, who has the money and who has the power. It's still gay white men or whatever. You know, I won't just say gay, but you know, in that particular community. But it's white. It's still white men. So just think of you still have, even though you may live your life as a woman, you appear as a woman, you still have the audacity and the boldness and the courage that you had of your original profile. Mm-hmm. So everything comes to you as a white man. You have privileges as a white man. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what you have to do to get rid of that you've had your entire life. So you think that though the trans people should be able to be accepted automatically and being encroaching women's spaces. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the world is yours.
Because
in your mind, yeah.
Exactly. And so I think you also have to like look at the social and historical aspect of that. Mm-hmm. Because you've been living 27 years as a white man presenting as a heterosexual, I hate gays white man, right? And then now, because it's openly accepted, you can do what you want to do. You can go live your life and present as whoever you want to present as, but you still have that same mentality, thought process, audacity, everything as a white man.
And if I can build on that, I would just also like to say, when people direct the patriarchy as some type of defense when speaking to a black man, we were always a victim of the patriarchy too. The patriarchy did not apply to us, you know, and I constantly see us grouped up in that where, but the patriarchy ruled for how many years? And it's just like, okay, but yeah, we were a victim of it too.
In America, because again, you go to foreign countries and it's definitely the patriarchy.
Yeah, but if we're talking about the effects of racism, systemic racism, that's America.
It is, but it's also a part of colonialism and imperialism.
Of course.
And so you have to think about all the places that were colonized.
I understand, but if we're talking about slavery as a whole and we're talking about the whole system of racism, that's main. I mean, we kind of confine that to the United States because this is where that entire history took place. Not that there wasn't slavery other places, but
chattel slavery.
Yeah, chattel slavery, exactly. And, you know, as far as us as black people being oppressed and the whole system being created on that oppression. That's the U.S.
I think, and I do agree with that, but we also have to consider that even though black people and other people of color, and I'm separating that because we have very different histories in America, I think that there was also still a set of patriarchal rules that applied to men within our community. Because you referenced Malcolm X earlier. Who did he say is the most disenfranchised, disrespected?
But she was disrespected. See, this is the difference. If you want me to be honest with you, the black woman was always held up in the black community, right? The elders, the mother, the grandmother was always held up. If you want to talk about which women were oppressed, it was white women that were oppressed by white men.
Well, but I'm not saying oppression. What I'm saying is that within our own community, there's still a level of patriarchy there. And we can't deny that. I'll give you a perfect example. Our grandparents, well, I don't know about y'all, but our grandparents and how, you know, my grandmothers didn't have credit cards. One of my grandmas didn't work.
The black man didn't decide that. That was a system that the white man created that women. But what I'm telling you is now let's not confuse the patriarchy with the dynamic of woman and man that God created, because I think that's where the lines are getting blurred.
On purpose, though.
You know, man has a role, woman has a role, and we've gotten to a point that we try to define that as patriarchy, and it's not patriarchy. It is, whether you look in nature, whether it's lions and tigers, whether it's wolves, the male animal has a role, the female has a role. And I'm sorry, once again, like I was telling Alan earlier, I think that when it comes to nature, human beings have become the most disobedient species on this planet. because when it comes to nature and what comes natural and what God designed us to be, we are going left from it. And once again, I'm not saying that women need to sit home and just cook and clean. That's not what I'm saying, because I'm a person that believes that it's a team, right? Men lead, but I also say that although a man leads, his woman is who he follows, right? There is power in submission, so much power. If you truly understand how men work, masculinity is a nurturing force. So this whole idea of toxic masculinity is just weird to me, because what people consider toxic masculinity is actually a lack of masculinity, because men who are not truly masculine overcompensate, you know? So I think we need to be careful of always defining the dynamic between man and man, what God designed us to be, as being the patriarchy, just because we have different roles.
Okay, but we can call it peanut butter and jelly. Like it literally could be called anything, but there is a system. And I think there's a system based on particular norms that are also based on whatever sex, however you're born.
Correct.
That has been how it is.
But that system wasn't created by us black men, and it wasn't enforced by us black men. You know, black men, we were powerless, and all we could do was sit in the river. We couldn't change the flow of it. That's the reality. But a lot of times we get the blame for a system that we didn't create.
But the thing is that even if you didn't create it, there's still a perpetuation of it. That's the problem. And I think that we see it every day, and we know people who live it and who have lived it. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I think that to not call it patriarchy, because you said it yourself, that it's based on mimicking what white people were doing, right? So we're
Yes and no. Certain aspects of it, but there are also aspects of it that are just the design that God created, the role for man and the role for woman.
Give me something. Maybe I'm confused. Give me some examples.
Okay, when we say man provides and protects, woman nurtures, right? Not saying that a man can't nurture, but if we go into nature, any animal, you know, the male animals are necessarily who protect, who go out and hunt, but there are exceptions, because nothing in life is an absolute. Nothing in life is an absolute. But if we can say the majority, then we can say generally this is what takes place. So all I'm saying is that, yes, there are injustices, the patriarchy, there's a system that's been created that has oppressed women, but we cannot be so deep rooted and focused on that oppression that we totally ignore the fact that men and women were built differently. And we are two counterparts, right? Where men lack, women are strong, and where women lack, men are strong. And that's why God designed us to be together. You know, the whole idea of I was born alone. It's BS. The truth is you were never alone, because from the time you were conceived, you heard your mother's voice. You felt the warmth of her womb. That's why babies recognize their mother as soon as they're born. At no point were we alone, and we were not designed to be alone. And I totally dislike the fact that we are straying so far away from nature and everything that is real. And that's why I think the universe is out of whack at the moment in time.